Hello, dear viewers. Thank you for joining me today on the day after the election. So I'd love to start by saying I am sorry I was absolutely wrong. I should have realized. I think we jumped timelines when Elon took the stage with Trump, Elon Musk. I had a pit that hit my stomach on that moment, and it didn't really go away. So I think what happened is we jumped timelines and not in a good way. However, I don't know. I've been doing a lot of praying, a lot of meditating this morning. Year of justice. Well, in the US here, we have had a pattern of some indifference to the suffering in other countries. And perhaps many Americans need to understand a little bit more about what that is to gain empathy. So that could be part of this, right? I'm quite concerned about Ukraine. I hope that fewer weapons are delivered for use by Israel against Palestinians. We don't know. We don't know what all the fallout of this is. I realize that things really did change because whereas many Republicans did not have faith that Trump could lead this country, when Elon Musk got up behind him, and a lot of people have a lot of faith in him, they said, oh, well, he's going to be running things. It's going to be okay. This is the scarcity mentality that there's not enough to go around. I have to make sure I keep mine kind of mentality. The level of desperation and the level of just, we've got so much prejudice, we've got bigotry, we've got sexism in this country is astonishing. But I know Source uses everything. And if these are lessons we need to learn from, that's what's happening. I also know that Source will guide us every step of the way in our personal lives. And so we may ask for safety. We may ask for protection. We may ask to be guided. I realized this isn't something I've been hearing from Source, which is there's no way around it. I've got to learn. I've got to keep growing in my ability to believe, to surrender control, to accept what is. And yes, meditate. Because only in that do I find a way to find peace and joy, regardless of the circumstances. So that's one thing I've learned personally from this. I thought I should get on and not only tell you I am sorry that I was wrong. And I know you all know that no divination is a tricky business and nobody's 100%. And I do believe we did jump a timeline and things changed last week. Some people I know had nightmares. I had a nightmare then the following night too. And a strange one that I normally wouldn't. Yesterday when I picked a card and said who wins and we had Putin's card, it registered for me, but then I thought surely not. Okay, so this is a win for him. So I am, and all the oligarchs who want to run things. I did have some thoughts this morning that I wanted to pass on. I don't know if they're helpful or not, but this video, and I will upload it. I did a few days before, 4 days ago I did it, 5, maybe last week. Was this even before Elon took the stage? I don't know, it may have been. but about changes that are coming, huge changes that, and how Project 2025 and this whole idea of privatization and sort of cutting government departments, agencies, what would move forward. It had been and it will, in some places. And so now, looking back on that, I realize, oh yeah, that's very true. I do believe that a lot will depend on where you live in the country. The Supreme Court with Dobbs decided that states have a lot more rights to make decisions than the federal government on a number of matters, which can be good news, and now which can be bad news for sure. We all know how bad it can be, but there can be good news too, because I couldn't see them going back on that so quickly and saying, okay, now the federal government can make laws to apply for the whole nation and this, that, and the other thing so easily. Not to say though that they wouldn't, but I just feel like not so quickly. I live in a blue state, and I'm glad for that, surrounded by red states in this election. But yeah, I think that some things are not going to change as much for some people, but for all of us, there will be a lot of changes. I do see a lot of the like departments, the governmental, federal departments being cut and practically gutted, right? That's maybe why I see education changing so much to be a lot more online. Yeah, and maybe why I see ways of you getting around government functions and getting things done, even if things aren't getting done through government departments. Now, there are a lot, as I said in a previous video, there is a lot of concern among very wealthy people about the debt bomb, right? So much more of our money is going to pay interest on our debt. That cannot keep going. It's going to really balloon in the next few years. There were many in this class who thought maybe it is good to make it happen sooner, crash everything sooner, and that way we can manage it in a way where we still hang on to our money as oligarchs, right? And I think Elon Musk, when he says, I'm going to crash things, but it's okay, it's necessary, it's healthy, la la la, I don't think it's as easy to manage as he thinks it is. And I do think it is still inevitable that the will of individual citizens around the world expands. The age of information, it cannot be controlled. However, there will be attempts to. So I still believe we are heading in the direction, and technology is doing it for us, the direction of greater individual rights eventually. I think that the next several years are going to be, of course, very bumpy, very turbulent. I'd be concerned, I think, if I lived in certain southern states about Project 2025. I would be concerned about that. But then we're all going to be suffering some economic travails, I believe. And at the same time, opportunities opening up in other places. I feel like sources saying don't be too doom and gloom, right? Opportunities opening up in other places. Flexibility. Yeah. So, and in some places things won't change a whole bunch. I mean, quite a bit, but not like in other places. So that's what I'm seeing, you guys. That's what I guess the U.S. really did need to come in to an age of developing greater empathy and If it needs to happen this way for all of us to get it, it needs to happen this way for all of us to get it. Those of us who have had more empathy for less fortunate and people in other countries will gain more. You know, also this will indeed speed up the spiritual, the spiritual solution, right? Where we try to transcend. You know, I was driving today. I had to drive for a little bit. And I thought of all the manifestation prayers. And they're wonderful. There is nothing wrong with them. At the same time, I saw beautiful leaves. I keep looking at the leaves for some reason, like some fall leaves still clinging to the tree on a foggy morning. And it just came to me, this is so beautiful. If I can't feel rich with this, maybe there's the issue, you know? Like I can pray for manifestation, but that's not going to bring me the joy. Maybe it's practice that I need. So there may be some real shifts in all of this toward greater spirituality that are ultimately very important. And this may be the term in which people come to understand that, you know, we all have a lot more in common than different. You know, we're those of us who aren't of the extremely wealthy class, we all have a lot more in common than we don't. So perhaps that starts to come through. So with that, I don't know if we should pull cards or not today. Maybe why not? Source, give us some advice. Those cards are always good. Give us some advice. Okay, so we'll do Light Seers Tarot. Oh, and they are upside down, meaning we're not quite understanding yet. That's telling me. And that means even all the things I said suggest I'm not quite getting it all yet. Ace of Coins, that's greater security. Page of Coins, that's new security. And Death and Transformation card. Interesting. So I feel like what I'm hearing is, the greater prosperity, the move toward greater prosperity that our world has taken and will continue, right? When I was in college, way back in the late 80s, early 90s, in undergrad, 2/3 of the world's population was malnourished. Now it's under half of the world's population is malnourished. You know, technology has done some equalizing for access to information. However, there are still countries like North Korea and Afghanistan where that's very closely watched, the access to information, like very, very closely watched. So, you know, we still have these issues, but the general trend is moving toward greater individual human rights and prosperity, and it will continue to. The death of something, obviously, with that death card, is necessary for transformation, and actually, new kinds of security would be coming in, new kinds of prosperity. The ace and the page. So I feel almost like Source is saying, keep your eyes open for new avenues to prosperity. Maybe there are avenues that are healthier for us or involve more cooperation. A long time ago, I was listening to somebody talk about societies on the earth that have come and gone, cultures, civilizations, and they had been shown a civilization that had built up to great levels, but there was one part of it that were actually a little bit genetically different than the other part, and they walled themselves up and protected themselves from the rest of humanity, and that was their downfall. And I remember when I heard that story with somebody on YouTube, I clearly heard, yeah, you all have to rise together. You all have to evolve together. There's going to be no leaving anybody behind. That this has to happen together. So this makes sense then that this might be a move in that direction for all of us to have to work together, to have to come together. Isolation is true hell, right? For most, but we need to increase safety to interact with others. We all need to do that together, I guess. It needs to be a group effort. Yes, so I do hope that there are good things that occur in this administration that are unforeseen, and who knew that it would turn out that way? I think we do need to be as flexible and nimble as possible, less attached to the way things are, and more able to see a way into the future that maybe doesn't look like we thought it would. I think we do have to be a lot more nimble and less attached. So that's what my plan is anyway. That's all I can say. That's what my plan is anyway. I am surrendering to what is instead of what I want it to be. Always asking for help and support and courage from Source. I'm getting better at meditation that lets go of control and attachment to certain outcomes. Because with that does come a lot of joy, and it does come that pause to be able to stay out of negative thinking, to be able to refuse certain thoughts rather than let the thoughts get me. Oddly, it's true of us human beings that sometimes it is only under great stress that we let go, and we can finally pray that prayer. Your will, not mine, be done. I trust you. You've got to do it. This is beyond me. And we let the divine move the way the divine wants to move in our lives. So that's my goal. And I will do it very imperfectly. And we will talk about it. Maybe I will share my adventures in doing this very imperfectly. But thank you all. I love this community. I love all of the noble and loving and compassionate hearts that beat in all of you. And I thank you. Bye-bye.